I'm Rabbi Phyllis Berman. I was ordained a rabbi by Aleph, the Alliance for Jewish Renewal. And I'm here now at Garrison Institute with the Tent of Abraham, Hagar, and Sarah, an interfaith group of Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Mennonites, Quakers, and others who've come together to pray together, to share our spiritual journeys together, and to act together in the world so that the world can be one with more justice and more understanding and more caring between people and less fear. So for the last 4 years, I've also been a co-teacher, or actually an assisting teacher, in Kol Zimra. Kol Zimra in Hebrew stands for the voice of song, and it's a training program particularly for Jews, but not only. We've had Christians and not yet Sufis, but I expect we will, people who are wanting to improve their leadership in the world of chant and use chant as an instrument for healing and as an instrument for understanding. The practice of chant has been for thousands of years a spiritual tool used by just about every spiritual tradition, maybe particularly mystical traditions, because it's based on breath. And just like meditative practices, when people begin to breathe more consciously and to breathe more slowly, there becomes a point where we begin to breathe together and to feel ourselves not such separate entities, not such separate bodies. And when you do this, not only breathing, but also musically, it doesn't depend upon a great voice. You don't need to be musically trained. But as you chant together, which is different from singing, your breathing then and the breathing sound of your voice becomes woven together with the voices of so many other people. It's unbelievably profound. And it sets up a dynamic even within one's own body, opening the heart, opening the soul, stirring memories, stirring up dreams. And so it touches not just the thinking mind, but in some ways bypasses that and goes straight to the heart and the soul. So this practice of chant has been used for generations as an effective spiritual tool. And in our time, Rabbi Shefa Gold, who is a Reconstructionist and Renewal ordained rabbi, reintroduced the practice. She started about 20 years ago, and it has now become fairly widespread in much of the Jewish world, particularly, I would say, the Renewal world, the Reconstructionist world, the Reform world, and parts of the conservative world of Judaism. And people have been using this chant practice as a means of opening the heart to prayer, to God, to one another. So in the training program, we've worked with people twice a year, a week at a time in the summer, a week at a time in the winter, for a period of 2 years. The first cohort had about 36 people, the second cohort slightly under 30, and the third cohort will start this July. And these are people from all over, I guess, North America. We actually had somebody from Mexico with us in the first cohort, who have fallen in love with chant, maybe because they are themselves musical, or I think primarily because they felt the effect of chant on them. And one of the things that happens with chant is you become less desirous to have prayers so full of words, but to leave the silence, the reflection time, the time for the impact after the chant, and to allow each word to have meaning, not to just quickly gloss through words because you want to finish a liturgy, but to enable with fewer words each word to have meaning for you. And then the words become embedded in each of us with the music to become part of our own personal practice as we carry on to our ordinary lives. This is from Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, which was attributed to Solomon. It's a love song that became part of the liturgy in a very interesting moment in Jewish history in which the Sanhedrin finally inducted a whole bunch of new people into the Sanhedrin and passed a whole bunch of legislation that had been kept on hold. And one of the rules that was passed was that the Song of Songs, which until then had been thought of as bawdy and only to be sung in wine halls, became part of the official liturgy of our people. And of course, at that point, it was banned in wine halls, but it is a quite beautiful series of poems to which now Shefa has created quite a lot of music. So the words come from chapter 1. I think it's chapter 1 might be verse 15. And in Hebrew, the words are Hinach Yafa Rayati. And that means how beautiful you are, my friend. This is the chant. Hinach Yafa Rayati, Hinach Yafa, 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 Hinach Yafa Rayati, Hinach Yafa.